you want to be the Michael Jordan of networking. You want to be the best at it. So you may reach your ceiling at that in-house, doing that in-house support. So you may decide to jump over to an MSP to where now you got to learn this for multiple organizations. Welcome to Debt Free in IT. I'm your host, Mike. This podcast is for anyone who's looking to get into the IT industry, whether it's for a career change or you're just interested. I think you come to the right place. So MSP is short for a managed service provider. So you may have heard this term tossed around by a coworker. You could have possibly worked for an MSP at some point in your career, or you may be in the process of looking for your first IT role and you start seeing some opportunities or some offers or some available jobs coming from an MSP. And then you may also be wondering, what is an MSP or what does an MSP does? So in short, a MSP does it all. Another way to think of it is like an outsourced IT department. So when you have these small to mid-sized companies that may not be able to afford in-house IT, they have to be able to afford the salary for in-house IT, then also the benefits for in-house IT. So some companies may opt to go out and outsource their IT department. So I've seen this done at numerous places. You hear of it all the time. And then also you see a lot of MSP companies starting to pop up. And some of them been here for a long time. Some of them maybe just be starting. But pretty much it's like an outsourced IT department. So with an MSP, a managed service provider, they may be providing their services to multiple clients. So as an MSP, you could be doing networking and security for company A, B, and C. So they're providing the network and security portion for each one of those companies. So usually with most MSPs, they go out and hire different IT professionals to work and do those jobs. So for instance, let's say that if the MSP is named Debt Free in IT. So the MSP is named Debt Free in IT. So you may get hired to work for Debt Free in IT. But then when you're working for Debt Free in IT, but you may be also supporting company A, B, and C. So your checks come from Debt Free in IT, but you're actually supporting maybe this company located in Charlotte. Then you maybe have this other company that you support located in Greensboro. Then you may have a client that's not even in your area. You may have a client that's a couple of states over. So pretty much those MSP, the managed service providers, they're the ones that's responsible for, they get those clients, and then also they provide IT services for those clients. So a lot of things that you see pop up is especially in the networking realm, the security realm, and also some of the cloud realm. But an MSP usually can cover all of it. They may have their specialties, but like I said, it could be a networking aspect or it could be a security aspect. But that MSP, that managed service provider, they're like that outsourced IT department. And then sometimes you'll see where some organizations may take kind of like a hybrid approach where they may have in-house IT support, but then they may still reach out to an MSP for either on a project-to-project basis or something that the MSP may specialize in. So let's say that your company is trying to onboard this new or implement this new technology. So they may reach out to this managed service provider because that managed service provider may have someone that specializes in just doing that for different companies. So they'll reach out to that managed service provider, get that project started, and then that person at that managed service provider that's already done implemented that certain technology, they'll be assigned to your organization where pretty much you'll have someone from your organization in direct contact with them, and they'll go through the process of implementing that project until it's completed. So you see some organizations will reach out to an MSP for certain type of services. I've seen some that may reach out to an MSP to take care of certain types of upgrades. So you have different reasons and different aspects. But in the world of IT, MSP, like I said, they are needed in this environment. So because you think about it, some smaller companies just can't afford to have in-house IT support. So those MSPs, they provide a valuable service to all of their clients. And then we move to what I call in-house support. So this is when a company has their own IT department. So the last job I was at, I was in-house support. So this type of support, you're only supporting the company you work for. So if I work for company A, I'm only providing support for company A. So if I'm in networking at company A, I'm only responsible for supporting company A. Now, company A may have a lot of different locations, but it's still under that same umbrella where I'm not required to learn the aspect of company B and C. I just need to learn company A because that's the only company that I'm supporting because that's the company that I work for. So let's say if I work for, like I said, my last job, I worked for a hospital organization or a healthcare organization. Then if I'm in-house support for that healthcare organization, then I'm only supporting that healthcare organization and the locations that we have in that healthcare organization. So when it comes down to the job hunt for those that's trying to get their foot in the door, you may be asking, which one of these roles should I pursue, a MSP or in-house support? And that brings me to today's episode where we're comparing a MSP to in-house support. So let's get to it. So the first thing I would like to cover is the compensation as well as the benefits for in-house support as well as an MSP. So starting with in-house support. So usually with an in-house support, you're going to receive better benefits. So usually in-house support, they're going to have good healthcare benefits if it's a good company. You're going to be able to put in for retirement. So you're going to be contributing to your 401k and things of that nature. Where with an MSP, a lot of times that may vary. The benefits may not be as good, but they may try to offset it with, you may get very large bonuses depending on your performance. Now, and then when it gets to that direct pay, what you bring it home on your paycheck, a lot of this is going to just depend on your area and things like that. But from what I've saw in my experience is a lot of times the MSP usually pays a little bit more than in-house support. So I've seen folks where they may go from in-house support and then jump to their MSP because of that big pay increase, especially where you got some MSPs that's been around for years. So some of them may indeed offer good benefits also. So, it's not like all of them are not going to have like benefits. So some of them that's been around for a while and they're established, they probably have a good benefits package also. But one of the main things is all of them usually may not have those good benefits, where with in-house support, usually they're going to have some kind of benefits lined up for you and for their employees. So that's one thing to think about. But then, like I said, on the pay side, usually the MSP may end up paying more, because the MSP, you think about it, if you're going to an MSP and you're going in the networking and security realm, a lot of times you're probably going to be specializing in one aspect in networking and security. So it may be you're the one that knows about implementing this certain service. You're the one that knows how to stand up this in the data center. It's going to be a lot of that. And then also you may have those issues where you may just be responsible for another location, responsible for company A, responsible for company A, B, C, and D. You may have multiple clients. So a lot of times the MSP is going to end up paying a little bit more from what I've seen and with my experience and the years I've been in IT. Now, with in-house support, now, like I said, the pay usually depends on the area. If you're in the larger city, that pay may be comparable to an MSP if you're in the larger city. But if you're usually in a small rural city, a lot of time that MSP pay may end up being almost double of what you're making. So it's something to think about. But your area and your location plays a big role in the compensation and the benefits between an in-house support and also with an MSP. Then the next thing I want to compare between an in-house support and MSP is skill development. So starting with in-house again. So with in-house, usually you're going to only learn that your one environment. So you're going to learn your one environment, in which, don't get me wrong, learning that one environment is valuable. So you're going to learn that one environment. And then being that you're learning on that one environment, you're also going to learn on the tools and everything that you have at your environment. So you're going to learn all of those tools, in which a lot of that experience you can carry over to different locations to another job. So that's in-house support. So you're learning just your one environment. And I'm speaking from a networking aspect where you're learning that one network component at that organization. And then with an MSP, you're working with multiple clients. So that means that you're responsible for learning each one of your clients' networking environment. So by the time you learn each one of your clients' networking environment, you're seeing and you're dealing with 4, 5, 6. The number can go on up. So you're dealing with that many networking environments. So you see a lot of different things. And then also at in-house support, if you're doing networking with in-house, you may not touch no security things. So some places, networking and security is 2 separate departments. So if you're doing in-house, you may not touch no kind of security things if you're in networking. But at the MSP, most of the folks I know that did some type of networking for an MSP, a lot of times they're responsible for the security aspect too. So they get well versed on networking, routers and switches, and also on ASAs, firewalls, ESAs, WSAs. So they get well versed on a lot of different components that has to deal with networking and security. So a lot of times I've saw where someone come from an MSP and go to in-house support where, okay, for them going from their MSP to in-house, it's almost like it made their job a little bit easier because they're used to working at this faster pace because they're dealing with multiple clients having different issues. So they always got to be on point. They always involved in something, going to where now I'm just supporting this one organization. So it's not like something's going on all the time in that organization. And now I don't have to know company A, B, C, and D's networking environment. I only need to learn this one environment and learn it well. So a lot of times I see a lot of folks shine when they go from an MSP to in-house support, and as well as vice versa. So if you're doing in-house support and you happen to transition to MSP, a lot of times you're going to leave the in-house support with a lot of knowledge. So let's say you got some experience, you've been working in-house networking, you made your way up to the highest networking role at that organization, which may be a senior network engineer or a network architect, somewhere along those realms. And then you decide to jump out to an MSP. I see that as a smart move also because you've reached your ceiling in the learning aspect at that current organization. And if you're someone that you're still hungry for knowledge, you want to know more, you want to be the Michael Jordan of networking, you want to be the best at it. So you may reach your ceiling at that in-house, doing that in-house support. So you may decide to jump over to an MSP to where now you got to learn this for multiple organizations. And then also you're probably going to be specializing in one aspect of it also. So that's going to make you even better. So I see a lot of people use it to make themselves more valuable, make themselves more of a marketing tool, because once you do that in-house support, you get that experience. Once you jump out to that MSP, and let's say that you're responsible for standing up this certain technology, that's going to make you even more valuable because that certain technology may be a new technology that a lot of other companies may be trying to stand up also. So if you decide to leave that MSP and you see another company that's doing in-house support and they're trying to stand up this technology and they see that, oh, that's all you did for this MSP, then guess who they're going to hire? So like I said, both of them have their advantages, but like I said, the skill development I see coming from an MSP, it seems like I said, you're coming in at the top of your game. So once you learn that MSP environment and you go to in-house, it gets a little bit easier for those folks. And then going from in-house to MSP, it make those folks, even though you're good at in-house, when you leave out, it makes your game elevate a little bit more. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the job stability. So this is where I think the in-house support probably going to win, because in-house support, a lot of times with in-house support, if you get to a company or organization, unless they have a massive layoff, a lot of times your job is pretty stable. So you have that long-term employment where most organizations, when they hire you, they're expecting you to stay for a longer period of time. So even though in today's age, a longer period of time for most folks is only 3 to 5 years, but that organization is there hoping that you stay the long run to where you retire from it. So in-house support, you're usually going to be a little bit more stable, where with an MSP things could change at any moment because the MSP, they're getting their funds from different clients that they're supporting. So let's say if they have a major client and all of a sudden that major client don't want to renew that contract that they have. Now that major client done went out and found someone else. So that MSP is stuck without that major client. Let's say that major client was the one that was bringing in the large percentage of their income. So now the MSP is faced with the fact that they're going to have to let some people go. Most likely it could be the people that was working that major contract. So like I said, with the MSP, I think that job role, that job stability, like I said, you get paid pretty good money for working for an MSP, but that's something that you always got to have at the back of your mind that, okay, everything depends on business needs. So if the business don't need it no more than likely they're not going to need the people that was doing it anymore either. So I think job stability is one aspect where in-house support shines more than MSP. Now, but both of them is good, and it depends on what stage of your life you're in, what stage of your career that you're in. Because if you're someone young, single, no kids, nobody to support, then you can work for that MSP, stack up your bread. Then once you get a little older, decide, okay, I need to find a stable home, a stable place to work, a stable organization. Then that way, you done got your skill set up to par from this MSP because you're getting thrown everything at this MSP. Now you go to in-house support where you're kind of, I'm not going to say you're on cruise control because in-house support is a difficult job also depending on what you're working on. I'm not saying it's on cruise control, but it's going to be a little bit less than coming from that MSP supporting multiple clients. Sorry to interrupt this video. According to my YouTube analytics, 84% of my viewers are not subscribed. If I provided any value to you in any of my episodes and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so because it does help out the channel. And also, if you're listening to this in your favorite podcasting app, please leave me a review and share this with a friend. Now back to the episode. So the next point I want to compare between an MSP and in-house support is that workload and pressure. So with in-house support, I think your workload is a little bit more predictable. You know, so a lot of times you may not see any real pressure unless something goes down that wasn't planned to go down, unless an upgrade or something goes wrong, something happens to happen out of the norm. You probably, you get a little pressure then because you need to get everything up and running as fast as possible. So with in-house support, I think your daily schedule is a little bit more predictable. You kind of know when you leave that day what you got to do the next day. Unless something, like I said, unless something out of the ordinary happens, you know that, okay, when I come back in tomorrow, I need to contact this one user for this ticket I have in my box and get that ticket resolved. And then I'm going to work on this other ticket. Then I got this project I need to do. So all of that is more predictable with in-house support. And then with the MSP, so like I said, the MSP is going to be more fast-paced. You're working with different clients, so this is going to make it a little bit harder to handle that workload, especially if multiple clients is having critical issues. So that seems like that may be the boiling point of an MSP is that you have multiple clients, but what goes to say that multiple clients can't be having all the critical issue at the same time? Now you got to try to put out 10 fires opposed to in-house support where you're just putting out this one fire. So I can see the in-house support being a little bit less pressure than the MSP. That managed service provider, like I said, with multiple clients, and then for those multiple clients, they're paying you, so time is money, which in-house support time is money too. So, but I can see that added pressure being put on you, especially if those clients are big clients. Like let's say if you got some of these large banks out here, if they're some of your clients. Let's say you got some of these other large organizations out here, if they're some of your clients and they're having issues, you best believe there's going to be a different type of pressure than the in-house support where, okay, it's just this department or this part of the organization. So with that MSP, I can see that you could have that different type of pressure on you. So for me, I think when deciding which one to work for, that's something that you need to also keep in your mind too. But also, you also need to keep in your mind that you don't want to run from pressure because like pressure, after a while, that pressure, it don't really have the same effect. So that's one thing I liked about me starting at the bottom of the totem pole and doing operations where you're put up under a lot of pressure, getting used to it. By the time I got up to a networking role or something like that, that pressure don't feel as much. You don't feel it as much because you done went through all these years of going through it. You done got numb to it. So that's one of the aspects that I kind of like from starting from the bottom, then making your way up. So, but with this MSP and in-house support, like I said, the MSP is much more fast-paced, so you're going to have a different type of pressure. And then my last point is pretty much what I think about it. So, MSP or in-house support. So, the perfect scenario I would think is that, you know, both of these roles is good for someone just getting their foot wet, just trying to get in the door. Whichever one that hires you, that's the one you want to go with. But at an MSP, like I said, you're going to be more well-versed in a lot of things. And, you know, you're going to be, now you may not be able to go deep on everything, but you're going to know a little bit of everything. You're going to know some servers. You're going to know some security. You're going to know some networking. You're going to know a little bit of everything because you got to support that client. So you may be the only one assigned to this client. So you may be doing some of that stuff with the server, some of the stuff with networking, some of the stuff with firewall. So I think you're going to end up learning a lot more. And then coming from that MSP, going to somewhere that's in-house support, I think it's going to make it a little bit more smoother transition because you're going from something where a lot of pressure to something where you only got pressure from that one organization instead of multiple clients. So I usually, like I said, the scenarios I've seen, I knew one guy who started out at an MSP and then he transitioned to in-house support. And like I said, he was probably one of the best people in networking I ever seen before, you know, because he had that experience with everything. Like it was things where it seemed like he just knew it like the back of his hand because he had so much experience at a MSP. And then vice versa, I've seen people where they start out in-house and they end up going to an MSP. They may stay there for a couple of years and then come back, and you can tell a bit difference because they come back, they done seen a little bit of everything. So that makes a bit difference when you done seen it because now you know how to deal with it because some of the issues are going to be, even though it's different companies, some of them are going to be very similar. So I like the aspect of, like I said, if you're someone young, don't really have a family started yet, you know, you don't have no one to support, no one to dependent on you, that MSP route could be a good route to go. You know, you go, you know, they usually pay pretty well, things like that, get your skills up, and then maybe later on when you're trying to slow it down, so you may say, okay, I'm trying to find somewhere where I'm doing in-house support for this one organization. So it's a lot of vice versa. There's no right or wrong here. So it just depends on the use case and how you want to play it out. But I can tell you this, usually everyone I met that come from an MSP, they're usually pretty good. They have a pretty good high level skill set and they're well versed in a lot of things. So that brings me to the end of this episode. Hopefully you found some value in this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, you can follow me at DebtFreeInIT. If you have any questions, you can email me at debtfreeinit@gmail.com, or you can visit my website, debtfreeinitwithmike.com. Other than that, I'll see you next week. Peace.